This is Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and you're listening to the Paranormally Zone.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen. It does happen. A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Hey, Mike, have you stopped berating your neighbors over their careless care of their puppy dogs? Have you calmed yourself a bit? Are you ready to rock and roll? I was going to say roar, but...
yeah, I don't want to roar.
I can't picture you roaring.
Unless it's laughter.
There you go. When's the last time you roared with laughter?
Oh, God. I have no idea.
Oh, that's sad.
I find it hard enough to smile nowadays, let alone... I'm just being honest.
I need that sad Price is Right horn.
Wah, wah, wah.
Or bum 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 bum.
Yeah, that one, I love that.
Oh man, I could probably find it here if I didn't mind wasting our listeners' time.
Well,
but we are back. It is time for a creature feature. We have a creature to feature, believe it or not.
A featured creature.
A featured creature. A menagerie of creatures, sort of.
A menagerie.
We're gonna
menage a trois. How many are there?
I don't know about menage a trois.
Menage a cat.
Wink,
Sink?
wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, here we go. Mike doesn't remember the last time he has smiled.
I do smile. I mean, you hear me giggle and chuckle on the show, so it's obvious that I smile, but...
Okay.
Nope. Anyway.
Every time...
It is what it is.
Every time Mike walks through any door in any house.
Thanks for that.
I'm sorry.
Next week I do have a counselor that is calling me, and we are counseling weekly for things such as that.
Did you say
the first call is going to be she's going to assess my mentality, I guess. I don't know, or my mental well-being.
Now, did you say weekly or meekly?
It's going to be more than 1 week. I guess.
Weekly. Okay, I understand.
But it was very difficult for me to agree to that. But it's something my doctor is setting up. She's with Sanford, and all of these things. I've got her. I've got somebody for finances from Sanford, and a social worker from Sanford, and they are all working with me to help me.
Good.
And it's all free. It's all free.
Well, you can't beat that.
How can I say no when I know I need it? So
if you're listening out there, and chances are, if you hear this, you are listening. We know you all are part of the Paranormally Zone family. Send some positive vibes, some positive mojo Mike Carbonell's way, just to help the guy out a little bit. He's doing good. He's a fighter. But man, you got a lot of crap going through your life right now. So you'll make it though. You will make it, and you'll come out stronger than ever. Well, come on now.
Well, that sure puts positivity on that statement you just made.
Sorry.
What a dick.
So am I on the same level as Zach Baggins now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just making sure.
Anyway.
Just making sure. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. It is going to be a double feature. One of the shows will be a creature feature, but shortly tonight, this evening, we will have 2 brand new episodes to clutter your podcast library. We hope you listen to them before you delete them. That's a big part. That's a very big part
You're not really a dick, by the way.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's the best compliment I've ever got.
Well, how about if I say this? You're just a penis with a moist pouch.
See, we can't go an episode without saying the word. I mean, we can't go an episode.
Yeah. So anyway,
I mean,
I'm done.
The last episode we talked about satanic penises. We talked about the pentagrams drawn right next to the obviously spouting penises.
Spouting.
Oh, God.
Was it spouting?
Yeah.
It wasn't. Did it have a spouting drawn on there too? Because I don't like that.
It sure did.
I'm not ready for that shit.
Oh my God. Anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in. This is, believe it or not, going to be, well, it's obviously published to the quote unquote flagship podcast feed, but this is, well, let's be frank. I'll be Frank. Mike will be Mike. This is kind of a Patreon promo episode because this is the type of stuff that you get on Patreon, everybody. We're off to a roaring start.
Yeah.
In all sincerity, though, the Patreon page has been reopened. We'd love to see you guys there. Best way to support us is to sign up for the Patreon page, Paranormally Zone Patreon page. This is a one-time deal. The Creature Features is a sub-series that is exclusive to the Patreon page, along with about 60 other exclusive episodes and a ton of other paranormal content, believe it or not. Personal paranormal content, including some Tagus stuff. So you'll have to listen to the prior episode to understand what I'm talking about there. But we had a good time talking about our Tagus jaunt, Mike.
Absolutely. It was a wonderful chat.
Yes, you said chat, right? Not shat.
Right. But then I thought it's both. But anyway.
It's both. It's both
if
a
you're
chat
yeah.
and a shat. Okay. I get where you're going. I get where you're laying down. I got your vibe. Got your verbiage. And Mike's drinking out of his barrel-sized mug.
Bubba.
It requires two hands, maybe an extra.
Oh, well, I only got one arm that works. You notice left hand here. It's my 3-cup holding Big Bubba insulated mug, and I have 3 cups of tea in there. Well, I'm about down 2/3 now, and I think there's still like close to a 1/4 cup of sugar in that little bit in the bottom of the cup.
Well, there you go. Mike, have you ever seen the Naked Gun movies, by the way?
I have.
They're some of my favorite movies, but there's a great scene that I envision now. You sparked a memory where Leslie Nielsen's Frank Drebin character and Priscilla Presley, and I'm drawing a blank on her name, her character, they were having a romantic scene, kind of like it was a play on the famous Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore scene when they're like molding the pottery.
Yeah. There's a Ghost.
Where Leslie Nielsen and Priscilla Presley are doing that. Jeez, I couldn't speak. And they have the close-up of Leslie's hands on top of Priscilla's hands. Then the music's playing, oh, my love, all that stuff. Very romantic. Close-up on their hands. All of a sudden, a mysterious extra pair of hands comes out around the pottery in the making. And, yeah, that was freaking hilarious. Leslie's like...
Great movies. Well, and Leslie Nielsen... I mean,
hilarious.
What an actor he was. Absolutely fabulous.
Fabulous. Fabulous in straight roles before he became more famous for his crazy humorous stuff. So.
Yeah. The first time I saw him was, well, I didn't see it when it first came out, obviously, but Forbidden Planet.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And he played like the captain of the United States flying saucer that came down. Robbie the Robot. I think that might have been that's first film, I think.
Really?
I don't know. But it was very good. Very good. Actually, I have a poster of it in here.
Oh, you do?
Anyway, I do. It's a small one, but framed and nicely done up. But anyway, go ahead.
Cool. Very cool. Mike, if I ask you something, would you answer? Nope, he's
absolutely
he's
truthfully
from his giant barrel-sized mug again.
You get a kick out of that, don't you?
I do. I could take a swim in that thing.
It's like this big chrome thing coming towards my face, and I'm sucking from it as I listen to you talk.
I'm just waiting for him just engulf, get lost inside it somehow.
And that's good tea. Anyway, yes.
So if I were to ask you, in your opinion, and we're going to talk about this after this eyewitness story that we're going to share here. We're going to share a story it's become known as the British Columbia Baffler. It's one guy's story. We get it. But how many of these alleged cryptids are, right? I mean, well, let me rephrase that question. How many alleged cryptid sightings are reported by several people as opposed to just one person? In my opinion, that doesn't necessarily add or remove legitimacy to it, because just because it's one person who experienced it doesn't automatically make you want to toss it out the window. Well, who else saw it? Well, just me. Well, then it's not true. Well,
but there are a lot of people that will do that. I mean, it's
So this is interesting because exactly what the British Columbia Baffler is, it's baffling, hence the title.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a Bigfoot? Is it a werewolf? Was it a Dogman? And what I was going to ask you, Mike, is there any significant difference between werewolves and Dogmen? Would you want to tackle that now, or do you want to wait till we discuss this tale, this alleged cryptid sighting?
From what I understand, and from the little bit that I have seen on different TV shows about the Dogman, it's totally different. I mean, I've heard it described as like a giant wolf, like a wolf man, like a werewolf, but more dog-like.
And is it something, of course, the alleged tale, well, they're not alleged tales, but the alleged sightings and reports and what a werewolf allegedly is something that it's a kind of a shapeshifter, I guess.
Exactly. That's exactly what was going through my mind right now.
It turns from obviously a human to a wolf man and back. Now, are dogmen alleged to do that as well, or are they permanently in the state of dogness?
Boy, that's a great question. Well, how often are there reports? I mean, if it's not out there all the time as a dogman, would there be less reports, less sightings? It would be more, in its human form, it could stay in the background, out of the conversation of dogmen.
I see what you're saying. It's kind of harder to keep itself under wraps in the dark, so to speak. I'm doing the air quotes,
right,
when it is permanently in that state of existence. I get you. Yeah, this is a crazy, weird story. It's kind of eerie. I would have probably pooped my panties if I... And no, I don't wear panties, but it just sounds funny when I say that.
There are people that will not believe what you just said.
Oh, I'm sure.
You're not wearing panties.
I know exactly. That's why I threw it out there. So, well, we discussed your undies, your underoos in the prior episode. So,
well, actually, the times that I've been at your house, I have been kind of weirded out by seeing panties hanging over your, some of your collection in your podcast room, and I don't know what that's all about.
I accessorize. That's all that is.
Yes. I color match and accessorize.
Right, exactly.
You should see my jewelry.
I have my stormtroopers and their packages, Star Wars figures right in front of me right now. And to accessorize those, stormtroopers are white. I have a pair of white panties dangling right in front of them to match.
Yes, color coordinated.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for noticing, because it takes a lot of effort to do that. Appreciate it. So, how's the content of this creature feature going so far? Okay.
That has become your favorite for these last two episodes.
Well, I didn't have it last episode. This has been this has been one-time deal for this episode.
That's right.
So, Mike, it's going to be kind of story time real quick, and don't turn your headphones off. Don't go running for the woods. This
is important information.
I have to.
This is the crux of our episode.
I have to set the story here. I'll go through this guy. It's 2 pages long. It's very, very short. I'll go through this gentleman's alleged encounter. Okay.
Got it.
This took place allegedly in Victoria, British Columbia, in 1980, in the fall of 1980. And again, the author Linda Godfrey personally interviewed this young man, who went on to have a very successful career, it appears, as a technician, it looks like. Oh, so very good. So he was a teenager when he experienced this. The British Columbia Baffler. Mike is chewing his fingernail.
No, I'm not. Oh, and by the way, I have to correct myself. I did not have an uncle and a cousin that lived in British Columbia. It was Alberta, which is very close to British Columbia.
Okay. And now, did you mention that in the segment that I cut out? So I think
I lost track of that. Crap.
I did too. Well, ladies, and
that's why it was thrown out. It was crap.
It was. So, ladies,
so never mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the power of editing. Sometimes, and sometimes it comes back to bite you, because I don't remember either if it's in the first 5 minutes or not. Or
do you need to hit that edit button right now?
No.
Okay, we're good to go. Okay, read, my boy.
We are good to
read
go.
Read on.
We're running on fumes right now. Let's make it to the finish line. Okay, yeah, the author describes it as one of the eeriest tales she has ever received, actually. She calls it completely unique among all the reports sent to her over the past 20 plus years. And it came from the then 49-year-old British Columbia man who has never forgotten his experience. I mentioned earlier that he was at the age of 17 when this encounter happened. She goes on to say it's one of the few reports that made her actually stop and consider whether this particular unknown might be a true, traditional werewolf. Werewolf. There.
Werewolf.
Let's see here. The eyewitness is now a successful businessman in a highly technical field. So I was wrong in that memory. He is not a technician. He's a highly successful businessman who wished to have his name withheld. Don't blame him at all.
But if he was a technician, it would have been okay. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
No, I know that. I'm just kidding.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
This incident occurred when he was attending a crowded house party in Victoria, British Columbia. Lucky. Crowded house parties. Hell yeah. I'm kidding. I don't like house parties. I've never liked going to parties.
I don't remember much parties in my growing up era. Or now. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm too fragile. Just kidding.
No, I have several memories of not really being forced to go to these dumb parties, but I would have to go because the people I was with were my ride, and they wanted to go to these damn parties.
Sure. And it wasn't your fault that you got drunk at these parties.
No, not at all. Not at all. No. Are you kidding me? I was forced. Tackled and forced. With funnels in every orifice.
Jeez. God dang it. Read.
What? You mentioned it, so I thought I'd get into details. Okay.
Yeah, but okay.
So this witness remembered that it had started as a small private party, but then it got out of hand. The house was pretty much next to full, and it was next to a lake in a residential neighborhood. Those familiar with going to house parties, full house parties, know every now and then that nature will call and you have to go use thy restroom. But unfortunately, in these crowded places, those restroom lines can be pretty long. So this guy decided to ditch the restroom line. Mike can see I'm not even reading anymore because I remember this part of the story. Decided to ditch the said restroom line and go outside at night in Victoria, British Columbia to, do his business.
I hope it wasn't in the wintertime in British Columbia.
It was in the fall. It was in the fall.
Because it can get very cold.
It might be a wee bit nippy, that's for sure.
Yes.
Now, this is a quote.
You got a wee bit of a nip in the air.
A wee bit of a nip. This is a quote from the witness. He says, the house is only approximately 1,000 square feet with over 50 teenagers stuffed inside.
Holy jeez.
He says, as the party started, I was not tipsy at all. And the bathroom had 10 plus persons in line, so I went outside as it was dark out. Now he
and
says
probably had
here,
10 plus people in the bathroom.
Right, exactly.
Throwing up and peeing and pooping.
Yummy.
And one taking a bath. Anyway, go ahead.
And probably pooping.
In the tub.
Now, this... That's what I was suggesting.
This is like Patreon
It is.
stuff.
Kind of.
People are going to hear this and they're going, screw that.
I know.
What? Jeez. What are they trying to say? Okay, I'm going to be quiet and let you go. Go ahead.
So it's important that I repeat this line. He says, I was not tipsy at all.
Right.
Okay. Now, what say you about, when someone goes right out to the front and says, I wasn't tipsy? Is that something to say? Before you accuse me of being tipsy, I'm going to make it clear that I wasn't.
You were drunk. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting anything, but we have to, look at it from both.
Right.
both
We weren't
angles
there.
here.
We weren't there.
But again, how tragic is it if you're drunk and you happen to see a real damn Bigfoot?
Yeah.
What do you do then?
Mm.
You can't tell people you saw it because they'll say, well, were you drunk? And you'll say, yeah. And he'll go, well, shit.
End of story.
End of story.
Yeah, that's it. Bury that. It's dead.
Man.
Anyway.
Or it's like, why if you have kind of a seedy vocation was considered, let's say you're, I'm not ripping on anybody who does any particular job, but a lot of people, unfortunately, look at like prostitution as a seedy job, right?
I guess.
Why can't prostitutes be considered good eyewitnesses? You see that all the time. Well, throw her testimony out. She's a prostitute. What does being a prostitute, how does that affect her eyesight?
It has nothing to do with it. She's
right.
She's an extremely hard worker.
Ooh. Ooh.
Anyway.
And in case people are getting their panties in the wad, I'm sticking up for prostitutes right now. Okay?
Me too. And well, hey, there's male prostitutes.
I know.
Frank Darwin.
You screwed it up again.
I know. I did that on purpose.
Okay.
His name is Fred. Anyway, go ahead. You got to read. Read.
Now, the witness found an isolated spot in the shadows and was about to conduct his business when the door, now you have to visualize this, when the door of a small camping trailer that was parked about 20 feet from where he stood suddenly popped open. Okay, so there's a camping trailer about 20 feet in front of him. The back door all of a sudden, boom, popped open.
Okay.
Sort of baffling, maybe, right?
Okay, we're getting closer to the key event.
Yes. Now this is another quote. Then out walked a person, ? Approximately 6 feet tall, 95 to 99% covered in long hair, walking with a bad hunch.
Well, yeah, because he just finished with that prostitute in the trailer. You know I had to say that. Are you going to edit that out?
No, I'm not editing it out.
Okay, go ahead.
95% covered in hair, grunting, hunched over.
That's because... No, go ahead, read.
Okay, stop.
I know.
The key here, not a human face.
Right.
Okay.
So he was actually close enough to see this clear.
Now that reminds me. I'm sorry, I'm going off a tangent. One of my favorite Will Ferrell quotes from SNL. He's playing a doctor, okay, and this married couple comes in. They're worried about their son that he's been working on. He's the emergency doctor, and he sits there and they ask him about the status of their son, and he calmly sits there and he puts his hand up to his mouth and he goes, well, your son no longer has what we doctors refer to as a human face. So there you go.
Okay. And I feel bad about me going off trail here.
See, I'm not Will Ferrell, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm about 1/3 his height. The cul-de-sac street lamp and the moonlight were good enough for me to see with my 20/20 vision, but this thing, he's like, whoa, I mean, this is a quote. He says, but this thing, ? So now he makes it clear that he wasn't tipsy, and he also points out he has 20/20 vision.
Mm-hmm.
So again, is he going out of his way to kind of...
Well, he's making sure he's setting this up that he actually saw this. I mean, he was in his right mind. Yes. He has great vision. He was close enough, clear enough. He saw this thing.
Amen, sister. The creature didn't appear to see the teen, who stood rooted, quote, deathly still to the spot, hidden in the darkened foliage.
I bet it cut off his pee real quick.
Probably, and it probably hurt. It stings.
Yes.
He observed the bizarre figure with shocked attention as it walked on 2 legs, Mike, into some nearby brush. This creature remained hidden for several long minutes, during which the teen hardly dared to breathe or move or finish his pee. I didn't add that, or that wasn't written on there. I actually added that. Afraid that it would lurch back out of the brush and find him. He had no idea what it was doing during that time, and now the author surmises perhaps it had also sought out a private place in which to relieve itself. So yeah.
Well, see, now the author is funny too.
Absolutely. Why?
Or funnier than we are, I should say.
Cryptids have bowel movements. Cryptids pee. As far as we know, why
Physical
not?
beings. That's why they smell so bad. They don't wipe.
They don't wipe. They don't bathe regularly. I get it. Now, when this creature finally emerged, Mike, it shambled straight back to the trailer. Now, get this. Opened the trailer door, ducked back inside, and slammed the door shut, leaving the young man dumbfounded. Now he goes on to say, my thought then and all these years is werewolf. Again, werewolf. There. Sorry. Needless to say, I did not knock on that trailer door, nor ever tell anyone. Oddly, I was anxiety-ridden from the first moment until it re-entered the trailer, and then I went back to the safety of the 50-plus people. Now, the author goes on, again, kind of, well, I'll read what she says here. She says, he did not go back outside that night, however, choosing the long waits for the indoor bathroom over another possible encounter with that same creature. He added that he never met the actual owners of the house at the party, but presumed that they must have been several older persons in their 20s. This is a quote. This house's ongoing occupants had to know what was in that trailer. Right. And that always made me equally as shocked as the thing that appeared from the trailer. Now, you said right. So why would he think that the owners obviously had to know something was in the trailer? That throws me off. Well,
I think, it had to have been close enough to, neighbors, or, is it is it a trailer house where somebody lived?
Yeah.
Like a neighbor of this house? Your neighbors. And there's obviously a connection to that trailer with this Dogman or whatever it was.
It was a small camping trailer.
Okay. Oh, that's right. A small camping trailer. Well, was it a camping trailer was it in the yard of this house?
Yeah.
Parked?
It's 20 feet away. 20 feet away. So it's either really close neighbor, or, really close camping area, or it's theirs. It's their trailer.
On another day when, everybody's head is clear and the people that live there, wouldn't you want to go back and kind of ask some questions, inquire about this trailer? But then you'd have to share what you saw and maybe get ridiculed. But still, I would have to know. I'd have to know what's going on.
You would have to know. I guess what I was thinking was, well, they didn't necessarily have to know, because what if this thing came from the woods when everyone was inside the house? It was curious about what was in the trailer.
Right.
Jumps into the trailer, and that's when the kid saw it. When it came out.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me. It's not like this, well, there's a guy living there and he turns into a werewolf and then he leaves and pees behind a tree.
Right, exactly.
And the fact that, in the description of it, it was hunched over.
Yep.
Now that is very not like a Bigfoot.
No, thank you for saying that.
Posture.
Yes, absolutely.
So that really struck me right away. And the long hair, the whatever, you hear about that on Bigfoot, but that hunching, I don't know.
He retains a vivid memory of the creature's appearance. He estimated that walking with its head and neck hunched forward, it stood about 5 feet tall, and that it would have been at least 6 feet or more in height if it stood up straight. He goes on to say, as for build, going by entertainment werewolf pics and standard male humans, I would say it was halfway in between. So it had a very plain build with no noticeable muscle form.
Yeah.
So
not a Bigfoot.
Not a Bigfoot, because yes,
not a Bigfoot.
You hear that over and over and over when people have Bigfoot encounters, Bigfoot sightings. The musculature is undeniable.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like the famous Holy Grail film footage.
Yes.
Great example. That is the example of a real Sasquatch.
He goes on to say that it had on no clothing of any sort, and the hair/fur was a dark copper color.
Oh.
Now, I'm not sure. Oh, I guess they did say a street lamp was on, so he can probably surmise a little bit of color then.
Right.
This was at night, but the street lamp will help. As for its feet and hands, I never looked down that far as I kept my focus on the head, down to the waist. He says, my sports playing days always told me to look at the chest of another player, as that tells you the next place an opponent will go. At that point, I knew things could turn out very bad for me, so instinct kicked in. As the team focused on the creature's face, he came to the disturbing conclusion that it was not human. He goes on to say, it was canine-like, like a werewolf's, as per pics I have seen over the years. The nose, snout, was not protruding, however. Just slightly larger than a human snout. Same for the jawline, almost human-like. But it was very odd that it could open and close a door on the trailer. He does admit that he never looked at the doorknob handle assembly on the trailer, but so be it. Yes, I did freeze up. I'm sorry. He went on to say, I never looked at the doorknob handle assembly on the trailer. So he doesn't know. So it doesn't make it any clearer for him as to why it was so easy for this being to push open the door and shut the door. The thing went in and out of that trailer like that was its living quarters. It knew how to open the door, where to go next, then come back, open the door, close it again, then silence. As it came and went, it made low decibel grunt sounds that were quite evident.
And when it came back out,
oh God.
when it came back out, he noticed that it was carrying a 6-pack of beer
that
it had gotten out of the refrigerator.
Naturally. What else would you go for? You bust into a camping trailer, you're covered in hair, you're parched, you're smelly. Go for the beer, man. You go for the beer. Now, the author goes on to state that this eyewitness kept his incident to himself for 33 years until a chance viewing of her on a TV show that led him to reach out and contact her via her website.
Cool.
The description of the creature, however, is still a head-scratcher. I'm reading again if you couldn't tell. Although it made the teen think of a werewolf, and he described the face as canine, the human-like face and jaw do not sound canid at all. Yeah, he said it was a very short snout, not much longer than your nose. The type of werewolf he was picturing at the time was probably closer to the popular image in Hollywood films, which often depict werewolves with human faces augmented with a lot of fur, latex, and some sharp-fanged dental appliances. I'm thinking back of those classic 1940s, 1950s monster movies, you know?
Yeah, well, Lon Chaney Jr., ultimate, he was the beginning. Yeah.
He doesn't mention eyes or ears, leading me to believe that neither of these features were very prominent. He did not see the lower part of the body, so we can't tell whether the creature walked on toe pads as canine animals do or was flat-footed like a human or Bigfoot. She goes on saying, what about the fact that it was able to open and shut the camper door? She says she has personally seen some campers, especially older models, with very simple push-down handles that could conceivably be managed by a large, flexible paw.
Right.
She says, I've known people whose dogs could get into similarly equipped cupboards indoors.
Mm-hmm.
But I must say, it seems likelier that a Bigfoot with its fingers and opposable thumbs would be the likelier candidate of the two candidates. Ditto on the human jaw and the flat nose. But then she says, I'll wrap it up here, unless, of course, it was an actual werewolf, shapeshifter, or other entity of supernatural origin. But what was a magical being doing in a tiny camper trailer, especially when it was only a couple of dozen feet from a whole house full of young, tender humans?
Young, tender humans.
You have to ask the question, what's it doing going in and out of this trailer?
I told you.
If it's of wild, beastly, cryptid origin, It's got. Is it?
Oh,
Okay, we have to throw this idea out here. Is it more afraid of those young, tender humans in the house than?
well, you would think that it would had to have heard what was going on in the house. I mean, it was obviously, it would have to have been a loud party with a house full of kids. You know, this thing, if it didn't seem like it looked over to the house, it didn't look over to see what was all the noise was. I mean, it didn't look it towards him. It just was doing its own business.
Right. And, okay.
And, and maybe it originally, before he was out there, it come across this yard in its whatever, roaming it does, sees this trailer, and it has maybe recognized that as something that he's seen before and went into and has found food or something.
Right.
Looking for like a bear. You got to make sure your campsite is set up for a bear. It could have been doing that.
Well, you hear the awesome Ron Moorhead Sierra Sounds recordings. They hear all that crazy audio picked up from their campsite, and they initially they all think it's just a bear rummaging through their their goods. So yeah, that's a great point, Mike. And
slamming the toilet seat in the outhouse.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
At that point, they were pretty sure it was not a bear. It was a family of Biggie. Yeah. Mike, this British Columbia Baffler, if we put our brilliant minds together and we have to say Dogman, Werewolf, or Bigfoot, where do you sit on this cryptid fence? Where would you lean?
I sit on the shoulders of Dogman.
You sit on the shoulders of Dogman.
Well, my opinion.
Okay.
Does anyway.
I
don't literally, because if I was literally sitting on his shoulders and he was carrying me along, then I would give you an exact answer of yes, what was he doing? I would know then. Because we would have to be close enough to have that kind of relationship.
Now, what if you saw this thing popping out of the trailer and the first thing you heard was, would that change your opinion?
I didn't hear that very well.
Oh, because it was so silent and it was almost deadly. So timing is everything.
Yes.
So if you're out there relieving yourself, you're shaking your Johnson, you're ready to go.
Shaking my Johnson. Whip, 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 whoop, whoop.
You're fanning yourself off. You got it. You're all good.
Yeah. Blow dry on yourself.
You see this being burst out of this camping trailer, and at the same time, you hear.
Okay, what?
There you go. Finally. If you have to repeat a joke, it's not going to work, but that's fine.
I know. I screwed it up. I have screwed up many, and I admit to that.
You didn't screw up. You just have horrible hearing.
Yes. Well, in my headphones.
And your headphones. Same
way it comes across.
Same with mine. Mine I'm not going to badmouth them, though, so stay together, Bessie.
No, otherwise they'll quit.
I call my recording setup here Bessie in general. It's a group name. The microphone, the mixer, everything. These things are almost antiquities, but yet they still work. So, Bessie, stay together, girl.
Well, we were talking about, I was talking about looking at laptops when I do get some money here. And this one, I realized that I've had this, I think the whole time that you and I have been doing this. But that can't be.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
That would be really old. I mean, this one is really old. I mean, but anyway.
So you go with Dogman. Okay. And
I do.
And we kind of briefly touched on, like the basic difference between Dogman and Werewolf. Like werewolves tend to be more of the shapeshifter, obviously, back and forth from human to creature, whereas Dogman is potentially in this state of existence at all time, and Bigfoot is Bigfoot.
But isn't it possible also that Dogman and Werewolf are actually the same thing? It's just different interpretations.
Of course,
because we don't. If there is a real werewolf or if there is a real Dogman, the Dogmen have been seen and described, but nobody who has seen an actual werewolf. I mean,
yeah,
if they even exist. but they could both be the same entity. It just interpreted or
Right.
described as two different things.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And you're kind of sitting on the Dogman opinion. To me, I go straight towards Sasquatch / Bigfoot, even, beside its description or.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, could it be could it be a different species of Bigfoot?
Well, again, how many billions of humans are on Earth?
Right.
How many look just fantastically different from each other?
Absolutely. That's what makes us great.
This could be I'm not trying to be flippant. If it's hunched over, maybe it's an older Sasquatch. Maybe it's
very possible.
Maybe it's a brittle, maybe handicapped Bigfoot.
And maybe this handicapped, whatever, older, more disabled Bigfoot finds it easier to see these places and go into them and find food.
That's a great point.
Easier to get food than foraging or whatever. Not that foraging would be difficult, but if you see a trailer and you've experienced that before and you've had food from them before,
yep,
that's what you're going to go for.
I like that idea. idea. I'm thinking that this wasn't a one-time thing. It just happened to be one time it was seen.
Right, exactly. And like all sightings that are in this kind of a category, I mean, how many times has that happened?
Mm-hmm.
So
more than we can count, man. So the British Columbia Baffler, Mike, you give it thumbs up to this. This isn't a terminal episode. You don't have to say yay or nay, but what do you think of the story? And I'll just ask you. I'll be Frank again. You can still be Mike. Do you believe it?
I believe it. I'm going to go. I believe it.
You know what? I believe it too. Just for the fact that it seems very feasible to me. It just simply does.
It does. It does.
It's very, very feasible. And again, this young man didn't want people to know his name. What does that say?
Right. That adds a lot. I know. It would be nice to know the background of this kid to see if, what his interests are and what kind of things, did he believe in this before, or is it something that he had an interest in, or that maybe he made this up out of, the interest in the fun that he could have with it, but he didn't have fun with it though.
No, he was terrified.
So, yeah.
He didn't tell anybody for 33 years.
Yeah. It's like, he didn't have fun with the story you're telling it. That's for sure.
And, you hear a lot of, my favorite phrase, my favorite kind of negative terminology here, you hear a lot of pseudo skeptics who immediately, throw these stories out the window, or they immediately question the man's background or the woman's background, like you said, and they want to know, well, have you always believed in Bigfoot? And if you've always believed in it, well, yeah, you're going to be more likely to see something, anything you see that you can't describe, you're going to call the Bigfoot. Well, I'm here to say, nay, I've been a believer in Bigfoot since I was like 8 or something. That's no joke.
Yeah, me too.
I've had nightmares about the damn thing, and I've never seen one, but I still believe in them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy into that. Well, you have a fantastical mind. You have a great imagination. Or the other argument, Mike, well, you had something traumatic happen to you when you were a child, so therefore you believe in ghosts and other nonsensical things. I cannot stand those.
Yeah, it's a flight of fancy.
Those arguments that require no thought, no serious thought. It's just they don't want to believe it, so they'll say, well, you're dumb. That's basically it.
Yeah, close the book, end of story.
Well, I actually am a believer in the baffling story of the British Columbia Baffler. I'm saying Bigfoot. Mike is leaning towards Dogman. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a bunch of hogwash? Do you think there's a little bit of meat to the bone there? It's definitely pretty intriguing.
I think you're twisting my mind towards Bigfoot. I mean, you put out some great points, and we bantered back and forth about it, and I'm going to change and say,
okay, that's fair. You're not doing that because of solely based on some of the stuff I was throwing out there. You're putting in some.
Well, it made me think more, and what we came up with, the possibility of it being an older, more decrepit, Bigfoot. that makes sense to me. It makes more sense to me than the Dogman because I do believe in Bigfoot. Dogman is so,
It's a little out there, isn't it?
It's on the other side of the fence still. I mean,
yeah. I mean, we're
in
open-minded to
believing
it.
or not.
We're open-minded to it. But,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But if we had to choose, we'd say, 100% Bigfoot,
Yeah.
But again, what do you guys think? It's a pretty intriguing story, that's for sure. Mike, I think we made it. We made it to the end of the Creature Feature Road here.
Really?
Yeah, we're up to 45 minutes,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
We made it up to the little camping trailer and we're just ready to open the door.
And pee inside of it. Or I don't know.
No, that's where Mabel is.
That's her mouth. Okay,
laying on the bed.
Well, and this is for Angela, Don, Wilbur, and Bonzo. Say hello.
Yes. Who's Wilbur? Who's Bonzo?
I was Bonzo. You were Wilbur.
Okay, I'm a Wilbur.
Well, I guess
Wilbur.
You know what? I guess I don't know. I guess it's never been clarified.
You look more like a Bonzo.
That's what I guess I just assumed that I was the Bonzo. So I'll take it.
You Bonzo. That would be like, if you were on like those really great Frankie and Annette beach movies in the late '60s. You would be like that character, Bonzo. He's like just on the outside of the group of the big fire on the beach, and it's kind of in the darkness watching everybody have fun. He'll sneak in for a piece of popcorn or somebody's half drink beer bottle, something like that.
Well, what?
At the end of it, he just walks into the ocean and keeps going until he's just gone.
He's gone. And then when his head goes underwater and all you hear,
no more Bonzo.
There goes Bonzo.
It's bedtime for Bonzo.
Oh, man. Well, I think it's bedtime for this episode, but I think it went pretty good, Mike.
Right.
Thanks for making this work, buddy. It's 2 episodes tonight, 2 brand new episodes. We felt really bad for not getting anything out yet in the month of October. Yes. That is just wrong. So,
well, hey, we got some great. We have to have some great Halloween month episodes.
Yes. Next week is going to be the real life Halloween horrors. That's the plan right now.
That's the plan.
If anyone wants to
real life.
If anyone wants to send us suggestions for a Halloween heavy episode, please send us ideas. We appreciate the help, the assistance, and more importantly, the listenership. We think all of you guys. We think of all of you as friends. So this has been a blast. Again, this is just kind of a poor example of the content you get on Patreon. But if you sincerely enjoy the podcast and you want to support us, no better way to do that than to give the Patreon page a try for 1 month. You can pay as little as $1, and we'd love to see you guys there. So lots of stuff over there. Lots and lots and lots of stuff with lots and lots of stuff more to come. On that note, Mike, what do our awesome family, friends, listeners of the Paranormally Zone need to do?
Peace out.